You ready, everyone? All right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, July 26, 2016. Celestine indicated it's like 7:02 p.m. I would ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jessica, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Calpagno?
Present.
Trustee Stoney?
Present.
Trustee Rita?
Present.
Trustee Stecker?
Present.
Trustee Rivera?
Present.
Trustee Perry is not here. President Puglia?
Present. We do have a quorum, and thank you, everybody, for coming. Our village manager is absent this evening. She had a medical issue, as well as Melissa Headley from Community Development. So hope all is well in that regard. Our next item is presentation. We don't have anything on our agenda, but I do want to make reference to something that I received the other day. If you all recall, Brian Mayer, who is in the United States Air Force, we wrote a little bit about him. We sent some food last December to his group in Africa, and he happened to be in town the other day, and he stopped by, and he gave us a little plaque and a flag, American flag. So it says, "Be it known that this flag was flown over Africa in support of the Combined Joint Task Force, Horn of Africa, on the 18th of December 2015. This flag represents the will and resolve of the American people to stand strong and kick the blank of all who attempt to do us harm. We will never falter, we will never fail." Presented to the village of Westchester. This was from Rogue 76, the 75th Expeditionary Airlift Squadron. Daniel Ganazzo, the captain. Brian, a tech sergeant who was being promoted to lieutenant. Tim McLaren, the captain. And Brittany Krismar, a senior air person from the United States Air Force. So I have a little plaque here and a flag as well. So we'll find somewhere to prominently display that, and we're glad he is back safe and sound. However, he was on his way back. So we wish him and all the military well. Before we get rolling, there was a disturbing piece in the news this morning. It appears that the country of France is being picked on by some terrorist activity there, and I'd ask for a moment of silence for the Catholic priest that lost his life unnecessarily at the hands of a terrorist person. Thank you, everybody, and I pray, like the rest of us, that the craziness around the world comes to an abrupt end very quickly. Our next item is the consent agenda. We have items A through F. Item A is a record of bills ending 7/21/16 in an amount not to exceed $1,066,688.81. Approval of the minutes of July 12, 2016 of the Board, Committee of the Whole, also for the 12th of July. And the exec session that was handed out also for July 12, 2016. An ordinance amending Section 1132-150 entitled Truck Parking of Chapter 11.32, entitled Parking of Title 11, entitled Vehicles and Traffic of the Westchester Municipal Code. Item D, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal from Yana Mechanical Incorporated, doing business as the YMI Group, for their services related to the post office roof replacement in the amount of $25,150. E, a resolution authorizing the addition of the Illinois Public Pension Fund Association Deferred Compensation Plan as an employee benefit. And item F, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract between the village and Strata Construction for services related to the 2016 50/50 sidewalk program in the amount of $44,805. These are all items that we talked about at our Committee of the Whole meeting at the last meeting. They're on our consent agenda. Does anyone want anything pulled? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve?
So moved. Second.
Carl, Angelo, anything to be pulled, guys and gals? No? Carl and Angelo? With that, if there's no questions on that, Jessica, please call the roll.
Trustee Celestino?
Aye.
Trustee Pambana?
Aye.
Trustee Rita?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee Yurkovich?
Aye.
President Polito?
Aye, motion carries. On our active agenda, an ordinance waiving the requirements of the Village of Westchester purchasing policies and procedures manual and ratifying the purchase of the gazebo from the Amish Country Gazebos in the amount of $11,046. If you remember at the last board meeting, Janet had a quote from one vendor. The board asked to get some other quotes. This is just a little bit over the authority at $10,000. And is there a motion, a second for its approval?
So moved. Second.
Celeste and Carl. Okay, anything else I gotta do with that? No. Okay, there's a motion, a second on the floor for approval. Just please call the roll.
Trustee Rita?
Aye.
Trustee Celestino?
Aye.
Trustee Pambana?
Aye.
Trustee Stecker?
Aye.
Trustee Yurkovich?
Aye.
President Polito?
Aye, motion carries, and just for the edification, it's a permitted expenditure out of the hotel motel tax and not from general fund monies. A manager's report in her absence, anything? No. And we have the esteemed Melissa Wolf, our attorney this evening. Anything?
No report, Mayor. Thank you, no.
Board members, Nikki, anything?
I wanted to just kind of, from the last board meeting, I just wanted to briefly talk about the computers and
Okay.
emergency warning,
Siren.
the siren. I think that we need to move on both of those issues. Nothing's going to change, whether we buy it now, we buy it later, but they're both involving the emergency services, and I think we need to move on it. We tend to find money for a lot of other things throughout the year. We're only 2 months into the budget. And, you know, I know there were some issues with the communication problem. The communication problem is not going to, you know, however they hash that out, it's not going to change the end result that we need these computers and that we need the sirens. So I'd really like to ask the board to try to give Greg the green light. Greg had proposals with the state purchase with some other comparable vendors as well, that we can give Greg the green light to move forward to get at least the computers and get moving with these sirens.
Well, the siren, we gave him the green light, didn't we?
I don't know how long that's going to take until that's up and,
Yeah, the sirens he has the green light for,
okay.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
as we looked at
You know
this
how long-
last time, the siren was an
Quotes.
automatic because we can't have
Quotes.
one operating and one not
You
operating.
requested more quotes. I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, but you requested more quotes.
Oh.
I'm waiting for a quote. Chief Adams put an email out to the division chiefs, and the response was 2 vendors that basically do this. One is Braniff, the one that I provided. The other is Fulton Communications, which had to come out and get some pictures. I gave them pictures, but they wanted some different information, so they're still procuring a quote.
Is that the one I gave you?
No, that one,
Not compatible?
no, that one could work as well.
No.
But I'm saying you wanted more quotes, and that's why I was getting
Oh,
another
okay.
one from another vendor here.
Oh, all
Right.
right.
That's
So,
local.
Yeah,
those
so
are
I know
my-
that one's on the board is given direction to get some more quotes. There was one, I gave one, I know Greg was getting some more, so that should be coming back to see what'll work with our system. So I think that one's a go.
Hopefully we can move forward. I mean, storm season and everything, I just would like
Oh,
to
yeah.
see it move. And then with the computers, I just think we need to move forward with that. It's about roughly $30,000.
Well, I think the question was where was it gonna come from? I know the chief was looking at some potential fund issues as well, to augment, and I know Janet mentioned, using some monies that we had held aside for lobbying efforts that appears everything's as stalemate at this point in time, so we may be able to use portions of that money and get it in the game. Those are the things that that's what we're talked about at last meeting. I know you weren't.
Well, I know like we've gotten probably $400,000 with the debt recovery money. Those are all police fines. Those are all monies that would be, revenues that would be going into the police department. If,
Well, it all goes into general fund.
yeah, no, I understand, but like you said, at the end of the day, we're still gonna need these computers. And we're gonna need them, we need them now, we're gonna need them at the end of the year. I mean, it is what it is. And, there's important updates that need to be coming out that we're holding up other people on. And I think if other communities were holding us up, we'd be a little upset. So, but
But again,
I
at the
think-
same token, not to delve into the communication issue.
No, I get
Had
it.
we known this in the budget process,
I
we
completely
would've been
agree.
ahead.
No.
Completely.
No,
Why wasn't this conveyed 2 months
listen,
before?
I completely agree 100%.
No,
Unfortunately, when we're dealing with a third-party vendor and all of a sudden they decide to do updates, we're I get it, but it's not gonna change the end result.
Well, I think what the chief is looking at is some dollars, and the manager mentioned some dollars, and I think if we split the baby, and if chief, if you had X amount of dollars and this had X amount of dollars, we could
Yeah,
meld this
I
together.
had talked to Janet and trustee Stecker, and we could probably come up with money from the seizure funds for probably 2 of the computers. So there's not a whole lot in there, but we're comfortable enough to at least purchase 2.
I get it, but once again, we're 2 months into the budget, and we always say, oh, well, you know what, things come in over, things come in under throughout the year, and we do budget amendments, and we do a lot of these other things. Needing the computers now, we're still gonna need the monies later. I mean, these types of things happen all the time, and we find money somewhere to make this happen, and then when something comes in under, we make adjustments later.
Well,
So I just don't
think there's-
understand.
I don't think there's
It's
the issue is
$30,000.
where are we gonna get the money from? And I
Well,
think when
that's
the
what I was
manager
hearing.
comes back, have the conversation with the chief and try to figure out, because we need, about 9 of these things?
It's about 28,000,
No, but I'm saying we need
29,000.
about 9.
Yeah, 9 computers, for the record, 29,484. And
Yeah.
then minus 2 would be 22,932.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure we can find the money for that. I agree.
I'm
with
sure
you.
too, because I mean,
No,
we do for other things all the time.
I'm game. So,
So, but, I mean, now, once again, though, let's give Greg some direction, because otherwise, we're just gonna be here at the next meeting.
well, the manager's got to make a representation of where the additional funding is going to come from. If the chief indicates that he's got at least 2 to get, then the balance of that has to come from the resource that she's looking to allocate from. It's all coming out of general fund revenues anyway, regardless of where it's coming from.
No, yeah, I get
think in
it.
the meantime, we
Yeah.
just want to know.
I think.
I just want to move forward with it. I mean, we don't try to,
Well, is it does the board want to commit to the expenditure at this point in time? And when the manager gets back, we will direct her to consult with the chief and find necessary dollars to make the purchase. Because you can't do 2, as I'm told. You have to do all of them. You can't do it piecemeal.
I would like to wait until the manager gets here and she can make a presentation with the 2 chiefs to explain the whole situation and where the money's gonna be coming from exactly. The one thing this board has criticized many on is when things like this happen.
but,
Now this has happened, so I wanna find out exactly what happened, why, and how we're going to fix it.
And that's fine,
My one question is.
but how's it going to change the end result? We need these computers.
Do we, okay, my question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, Chief, do we need them today? Is it critical today that we need these things? Is a life safety factor involved, that we need these today?
A life safety factor, no. But however, we were at a meeting just the other day at Norcom, and the manager had spoken to me, and she wanted me to double check to make sure that, is it in fact true that the Westchester is holding up the other departments in regards to these upgrades and what these upgrades can provide? So we asked the question flat out, are we the ones holding up? And the answer was yes, we are the ones that are holding up the upgrades that they want to do for all the other communities that Norcom dispatches for. We are the sole individuals holding up the process.
And part of the upgrades are, right now, I mean, Jimmy could show you right now what his map looks like. And, no, let me explain. And the map literally will just have the boundaries of Westchester. The new update is going to have a Bing map, similar to the Google map that you would see on like your GPS on your phone, and it would have the ability, so if the coppers are going to Bellwood to assist in a shooting or something, or going to Hillside to assist in a robbery, it'll have all of their towns, their streets, and show where the calls are in those towns. We currently don't have those types of things. So it can affect, it
But my
can.
question is, when did they propose these upgrades? And if it was done,
And
why
I-
wasn't brought up to us, to our attention during the budget process?
And I get it, but that's something that can be hashed out with management. It doesn't have to be hashed out at the board level. That's between management, that's between department heads, that's between our vendors. That doesn't have to be hashed out in front of this board. I mean, to be quite honest, and it's not going to change the end result that we need these computers. So I would ask the board to move forward, to allocate the funds today to buy these computers.
Just one thing, Greg, because we may have talked about this too. Software updates and all that stuff after we get these computers, is that all part of, is that all on Norcom? Or is that something that we pay for later? I mean, I'm just trying to get the full picture before we just, I know I get it, I understand. One way or
It's
the
a
other, we gotta do
third-party
it.
vendor.
Yeah,
What's that?
It's a third-party vendor that we pay a service fee for each year.
So there will be a service fee associated with this?
There always is.
There always
Every
is.
year since we've been
But
with
it's
Norcom.
something we're
because
already paying.
We're paying for it, but we're not
We're
utilizing
just not
the
utilizing
upgrade
it.
now. So we're paying for a service we're not getting right now.
Our last upgrade was in May 11th, and from that point on, they had mentioned the next upgrade would require our computers to be updated.
So, once again,
I'm-
I'd ask the board
I'm
to
okay with
approve the monies to move forward with this.
Well, let's let Janet get back in the game. She'll know our thoughts that we want to go forward with this and get this upgraded as soon as we can. And the chief indicated he's got some money, she indicated she had some monies to use. And we'll see if we could come up with which one Greg recommends, 22, 29, which ones are out there that are going to best to operate at the best cost possible. So, kind of go from there. I think there's a consensus on the board that we want to go forward with this.
Thank you.
Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Celestine.
Nothing, excuse me, thank you.
Carl.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Nothing to say.
Tomas.
Nothing.
Nothing. Chief. I heard you were a celebrity the other night on the radio. That's twice I'm hearing. Is that not correct?
Yeah, all Polish radio. It wasn't too bad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was on. I got a chance to go on WPNA out of Oak Park with a bunch of other civic leaders, and we talked about the issues in today's world, for the police and society, and that. So it was interesting. It was an hour and a half show, and it was fun, and we got a lot of points covered and things discussed. So
Great. Thank you for representing us as well as you do.
certainly. And the only other thing I have is we just want to bring everybody's attention to next Tuesday night. We got National Night Out. Welcome anybody in the community to come out. It's going to start out at Faith Lutheran Church, and we're going to do a little walk, and then there's going to be all kinds of things afterwards. So next Tuesday, 6 p.m., we got National Night Out. So come on out, and let's have a good time, and let the community know that the citizens are out there watching over their community. The police are out there working with the citizens, and we're just going to have a lot of fun on Tuesday.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Chief.
Didn't have anything until about 12:30 this afternoon. If you guys checked your email, we had a fire over at 9825 Roosevelt today. It's a fairly sizable building that's kind of broken down into a couple different businesses in there. One of the businesses has an oven that heats castor oil, and it overheated and caught the castor oil on fire. This is a classic example of actually how the sprinkler system actually saved the building, did a good job keeping the fire in check till we got there, reduced the property damage, and that business, if they're not operating tonight, will actually be back in business by tomorrow, she said. So, again, a good example of an ordinance that we've put in place and enforce, and it's not just about the building and its contents, it's about the employees, the revenue, and everything else that goes along with running a business that could have been lost if that sprinkler system wasn't in place to keep that fire in check. So,
Just one fast question. In addition to the sprinkler system, you know, for the whole building and that, with that type of business that was doing whatever heating or whatever the case may be, was there any extra thing that may have been required that was omitted that they should have had in regards to that, or is it?
Better diligence by that employee, not to,
No, I mean,
Like an
as far
ansel
as,
system?
what's that?
Like an answer
Fire
system?
suppression
yeah,
system on
and
the
was there any,
other
right,
Well, the sprinkler system was
Okay.
there and did what it was supposed to do, and one head went off. You know, that's the big myth that they all go off. No, just the one in the area went off. As soon as we brought the fire under control, we shut down the sprinkler system to minimize the water damage. And actually, Mr. Waters happens to be the sprinkler contractor over there. He was out there before we left the scene. The sprinkler system was actually back up in operating condition again, and the building's once again protected 100%. So.
no, I think the analogy we were making is in the restaurant business, they may have to have a sprinkler in the building, and also
Right.
there's a secondary piece with the Ansel hood over the cooking, whatever the case may be, and I don't know.
That would be
what
a
this
UL
is.
300 system, and that's for your cooking type oils and things like that. So
But-
this wasn't a cooking oil. You
Okay.
hear castor, it's somewhat of a vegetable. It's a bean oil is basically what it is, but it's.
It didn't rise to the level of necessity of that other advanced system.
No,
right?
no, because
Okay.
it's used for a different purpose there,
Okay.
so.
Chief, just real quick, when I came in today, I found this letter in my mailbox. It's addressed to the board. I was going to pass it on to Janet, but it's from a resident from a condo that has a condominium association regarding the cost of putting a sprinkler system in their building, about an ordinance that was passed. And you may have already dealt with this.
Possibly, it depends
yeah.
on the address and what cost are they quoting, because I've heard some
Okay.
$30,000.
Yeah, I was gonna pass it on, but
costs.
I don't know if they're, they just kind of go on to say that, the village passed an ordinance, and I don't think we just passed it, but,
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I brought it up at the last meeting because I had received probably 6 of these already, and that's why I brought it up in the comments, and then Jim went through it again, and the board decided that we were gonna go forward with the ordinance, and pretty much all but one, because I got another letter today, all but one I responded to and let them know.
but just as a,
I'll see if it's the same name.
Yeah, maybe.
That I've responded. No, this is a new one. That I responded in like with each one of those, that we reviewed it at the last meeting. We asked the board if there was any changes to be made, and that the board's opinion that we were keeping it the way it was. And that's that. So that's the letter I've been sending out. So I hadn't received this one as yet, but I did get a different one the other day from one of the owners and people in there. And I have referred them to contact the fire chief for
And I've
information.
been addressing them.
Yeah, this one I
that's
didn't
come
see.
up, so.
How are we doing with the compliances so far?
There's a lot actually in process right now. It's funny
Okay.
because a couple of the complaints that I have gotten, they've already been installed in those buildings and approved. Yeah, which I thought was kind of weird, but I still gave my reply on it. Number-wise, I'll try to get some numbers together for you next
I
time.
was just curious,
I think we're
just
about-
roughly.
I think we got about, I forget the total number offhand, but I think we got about 12 complete and approved and in, and we probably have another 20 in process right now. And then I just got some questions from a contractor today, so I know there's some more that are going to be in process here soon. So
well, I think the incident that happened today kind of, supports our
it really does.
our ordinance that, if that fire would have gotten out of hand and that sprinkler system wasn't there, it could have been much worse.
And one of the biggest things about that was the employee tried to fight the fire, not call the fire department, but when the sprinkler system went off, it automatically notified us, and nobody had to pick up a phone. We were notified automatically, so we were coming. He didn't even basically think about that at that point. So.
Well, good. Chris, Gregory.
Just a little special event information, as the chief had mentioned, National Night Out, August 2nd. The movie that we had planned for last Thursday was canceled due to the heat. And of course, if you remember Thursday, then there was significant storms probably during the middle of it. We didn't realize that was coming, but we initially canceled because of the heat. we've transferred that movie on to being on National Night Out's evening. Rob had contacted the movie company to get the movie Big Hero 6. Also, Music Fest, August 6th. Aphrodisiacs, Ara, Classic Addiction, be playing there. That's all I got.
Great. I think Nick had a question on the way in. We were talking about the camera system.
Yes.
Do you know where we are with the Gladstone one?
Yes,
With the Park District?
The attorney drafted intergovernmental agreement was sent to Gary, and we're waiting for that.
So it's
to
on
be
the Park
returned.
District
The
review
attorneys,
right now.
it's with their attorney, from what I was last told from Janet
Great.
on Friday.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Robert?
We had a storm this weekend, as you all know. Looks like the only damage reported was a tree that fell down. So we cleaned that up, and looks like all the ponds worked well. Salt Creek is up about 3-4 feet, but it's below flood stage. So we're keeping an eye on our ability to transmit stormwater out to the creeks, and we look in good shape. So we got off pretty easy. Most of the storms are to the south and north of us, and we didn't get the big 2-incher we thought we might get. So knock on wood, we keep avoiding storms this summer, the heavy ones.
Well, don't forget that 6 years ago, on the 23rd, 24th, the same time parameter, was a devastating event here with 7 inches, and
I wished you a happy anniversary.
you did. I wrote about it. But
I
Nick,
did get 2 voicemails from residents who also remember that date,
Yeah,
and
give 'em
wanted to
a
remind
happy
me
anniversary
that-
text.
it was about 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock, and it was really coming down, and I'm like, oh no, this can't happen again to us. We can't be that unlucky.
Well, it passed pretty quickly, and then there wasn't another one behind it, and I think that's, in 2010, there were like 3 rain events back-to-back that came, and we're fortunate we're getting them just one at a time, so everything seems to be working well. We've got the dewatering pumps at the pond. We've got one of them working, and it's still lowering the water down, not as far as we'd like, but we're working on getting that second pump replaced.
Yep, great, and good. All right. Nick, nothing? Carl, nothing? Tommy, nothing? Nothing? Okay. I don't have anything this evening. Public comments. Anyone wishes to address the board? In the interest of adjourning by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes in length unless further time is granted by the board on active or general matters. Introduce yourself to our clerk.
Good evening, board. My name is Daniel Mashke, and I'm the owner of Lacey's Place Video Gaming Cafe. I currently own 2 of the video gaming cafes, one in Summit, one in Bridgeview. And I'm here tonight to ask how you would feel if, what are the chances you would issue a liquor license for me to do a video gaming cafe in Westchester?
Well, we had a hearing today on a video gaming enterprise, and what the board's propensity is now, if it's a video cafe with microwave-type preparation, I think the board we have 2 of those, and we're not interested in any more of those, so correct me if I'm wrong. What the board is looking for is a restaurant potential, more so than somebody doing cold sandwiches and whatever. Our code requires, under a restaurant section 5.24, means any public place kept, used, maintained, advertised, and/or held out to the public as a place where the primary business is the service of meals, and where meals are actually and regularly served without sleeping accommodations, and where adequate provision is made for sanitary, kitchen, dining room equipment, and capacity and sufficient number of employees to prepare, cook, and serve a reasonable variety of meals for its customers. The mere availability and service at any premise of cold sandwiches, hors d'oeuvres, or other similar foods will not, standing alone, be deemed sufficient to constitute such premise as a restaurant within the meaning of this definition, as being the intent of this definition that the primary business conducted on the premises to be licensed as restaurants hereunder shall be the service of meals. I can tell you since January, I've probably had at least 10 video cafe concepts call to me, and I brought it to the attention of the board back in March, and that was the edict from the board. That we're looking more for a restaurant. If you've been to Q's Restaurant in Hillside, or Stacy's up on Manheim Road, that we do not want any more cafes at this particular time. We're looking more for a sit-down restaurant with a menu of, of several items and not just one thing, and, more of that type than, just somebody stopping in and gaming. We're interested more in the restaurant aspect than gaming. And I know a lot of the cafes, their food and, sodas and things like that are secondary, that the money is in the gaming. So, we'll take a look at your cafe operation and see what you're looking for. But as I've read our definition of restaurant, we're kind of holding to that. We take them as a case-by-case basis. The gentleman before you has a wing kind of fare that we looked at today. I'm going to be cooking on site and all that kind of thing. So, that one may be going forward. He still has to apply for his gaming license. It's coming up in our committee of the whole discussion this afternoon. But that's what we're looking for. If it's a cafe style, kind of like a Stella's or a Betty's or a Dottie's or whatever, the propensity of board, I will tell you, is at this point in time, no.
Okay, if I built a deli inside of it, what I'm currently doing is, the two that I have they do not require food. However, I was aware that you guys had a food requirement, and not just frozen pizzas or microwave sandwiches or burritos, things of that nature. What I am doing is working with a distributor for boar's head meat. Every major grocery store carries boar's head. It's top of the line lunch meat. And so we would have multiple selections for sandwiches and soups. However, we're not going to have 100 items on our menu. We don't plan on installing deep fryers or anything like that. But there would be sandwiches made on the premises, things like that. They would be approximately $8-9 sandwiches, hot corned beef, paninis, things like that.
Yeah,
So we would have.
That's very similar to what the Stellas and the Bettys have, and from what the board has told me on prior occasions, is that's not something that we're looking to engage in at this point in time. Correct me, board, if I'm speaking out of turn.
You guys with the deli selection and prove that it's a real deli and not just ham and cheese sandwiches like we buy at Shell gas stations. I understand that.
All I can tell you is what the board discussed ad nauseum on prior occasions was, we want a restaurant similar to, like I mentioned, that there's a sit-down facility, that it's more for eating than gambling. And I mean, that's what I've been telling everybody that's been calling me. I brought it to the attention of the board, like I said early on, and said, I'm getting all these calls. We could have 20 of these. And the board has indicated, we were a no on video gaming. We didn't want to have them everywhere, and other than the two that are close by, there was a reason behind that, that the other ones are spread out in different venues of the village, so they're not all eating each other up by having that. So we're more looking at a restaurant. If you have a business plan geared toward what I read, other than, cold sandwiches or microwave stuff, I mean, the things that we're looking at is the fryers, the prepared food like Mike has across the street, like Christopher's has, and apparently what this other one looks like it's going to have, that's what we're looking for. But we're kind of shying away from the cafe styles at this time.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
Right. Board?
No,
I agree.
No, totally agree.
Is that what?
Yeah. No.
So, okay. All right. Anyone else?
Good evening. Carl Santucci, 2929 Beckett. Regarding old business, just trying to find out what happened with the cell phone tower Is that going through or is it not going through? Kind of confused on that.
Well, right now, there has been a lawsuit filed. There is a court date where it's before a federal mediator first before it actually gets to a particular judge to see if something could be mitigated. That is going to occur on the 25th of August. And that's pretty much where it stands at this juncture. I think after that mitigation meeting at the 25th, we'll be a little bit better positioned to see what direction it may be going. Other than that, I can't give you a yay or nay on it. I know that we've received some emails recently indicating that we should, fight this and whatever. It's a decision that the board will make probably after that at least first meeting with the federal mediator to see if something can be done. So that's
So it's
Just for
still
clarification.
possible that they could erect the cell phone tower in Mayfair Park.
that is a possibility, yes, sir. Yes.
So is the village going to fight it or not? Or they don't
I
know?
think what we're told is that we have to go to the hearing, and Melissa is up on this to see what the federal mediator says and see where we are. I mean, I still have my questions out there. I would want to fight it, but that's a personal situation here. But I think we're going to have to go to the hearing and find out the pluses and the minuses, and hopefully the board will make the best decision for everybody. It's kind of where we're at. Melissa, you were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Just that the federal mediator is a federal magistrate judge, so we'll be before another judge.
So, that's where it is.
Thank you.
I wish I could give you the whatever, but I'm going to say this is uncharted territory for us. I don't know if any of us other than myself have been before a federal magistrate to discuss the issue. But if I'm down there, I have some questions to ask, and we'll see where it goes.
Thank you.
So. I don't think we have an exec or anything this evening, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do. I'm sorry. Which one are we?
Just quickly for item C.
Item C, we don't have an A or B?
I think not as far
No.
as I know.
Okay. All right, well, what I would ask is there a motion to adjourn and go to our committee of the whole? There'll be an exec session under 5 LX 122C11 for litigation when the action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent. So I would imagine the topic we just spoke about is going to be conveyed, unless there's something else I don't know. All right, there's a motion, Tom, in the second. Is Angelo? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition, say no. Our board meeting stands adjourned.